We're going to do some street tree pruning here. So I'm Mike Yost, I'm a certified arborist. I've been doing tree work for about 10 years. We're just going to prune these trees to provide clearance for the sidewalk for pedestrians and cars. When pruning any trees, especially a sidewalk tree, an urban tree, I always like to look at the branch where it is and where it's going to go. Let's try not to take too many branches off that we don't need to, but if it's going to be a problem in the future, let's make the wound small and take it now. Looking for branches that are crossing and rubbing on each other. As they grow and they start rubbing, the wind is always moving them, they rub. It creates like a callus and a weak spot, and it's also a vector for disease and bugs to get in. If it's too far gone and it's created a big wound, we may remove both. If we notice that one is growing in an area that's going to be a problem, we try to take it away before it is a problem. So these are a variety of tools we'd use to prune trees, branches. This is a small hand seccator or pruning shear. We'd use this for basically anything that can fit inside that opening. I would definitely use this for small branches. We can graduate to these bigger loppers if you had something a little more aggressive. And this is kind of a one-shot cut. When you get into a larger branch, something a little more stubborn, so when we move on to the bigger handsaw, it's a very, very, very sharp tool. It only cuts on the pull stroke. So we also have a pole saw here. You can add a pole saw, a hand saw, onto our pole. If things get too high and out of your reach, call a professional. This is also like a pruner head. Again, any branches you can fit in there. It's like a double pulley system. As you pull it, you pretty much cut anything that'll fit in there. Very effective, make a nice clean cut. Really important that we clean our tools, especially when moving from species to species. And even as important is even moving within the same species. If we don't clean our tools, we could be transmitting a fungal disease from tree to tree and spreading it throughout the whole grove. These are just alcohol wipes. Works great. Again, be careful, these saws are extremely sharp. So we're gonna just wipe as close to that cutting area as we can. And these saws cut on the pull stroke, so we're gonna wipe this down. You could also use like a spray bottle with like a bleach mix or alcohol. It's a good idea to prune these, to make these cuts on the branches while the tree is smaller versus leaving it too long and having the branch become a nuisance when it gets bigger. Making a smaller cut on a tree is far healthier for the tree than making a bigger cut, bigger wound. When we make a cut like this is a cut we've just completed. We're gonna keep it just outside this branch collar. The branch collar is where the stem of the tree, the wood, the bark from the stem of the tree meets the branch bark. And there's a wrinkly little collar here that is a magical place where when you make that cut in the right spot, the wound seals up. So this is a branch that it was cut less than 6 months ago, and the wound is completely sealed up. It is kind of like a scab, like what we get when we get a cut. As this seals up cleanly, eventually this grows completely over. We're gonna wanna take that branch at its smallest point. If we have a loony sized wound now, it will seal probably within 1 season. People have talked about sealing wounds with paint, and there is specially developed products that are designed for this. I find that it's kind of a trend thing. Every couple of years people develop a new one and they market it. They are recommending lately with some of the new oak wilt diseases and things that are out there that we do use it. The tree naturally blocks off all those cells almost immediately after the branch is removed, so it's one of those things that you can use it or you don't have to. So this is an example of some water sprouts or sucker growth that has come out of a tree, maybe due to it losing a branch or just some vigorous growth. These are good to remove, as if we don't remove them, this will become a big branch and it's heading straight down to the sidewalk. It's a very undesirable growth. We're gonna cut, these don't have an obvious branch bark collar, but we're gonna cut it as close as we can without making a flush cut. We don't want to cut into that swollen wood there. So the branch is small enough, I'm going to hang on to it so it doesn't tear the bark. We're going to remove this lower heavy branch that's going in an undesirable location. What we're going to demonstrate here is the 1, 2, 3 cut, where we make a cut about 1/3 of the way through the diameter on the bottom. And we're going to follow it up with a cut almost directly above it. That branch is going to be removed, and then we're left with the final cut. We do this so that the branch doesn't pivot down and cause a big tear in the bark. So we will go ahead, the undercut. About a third of the way, I'm gonna go pretty much directly above. Pops off nice and clean. So if you notice the branch bark ridge here, this one's coming out almost 90 degrees of the tree. We're gonna make our cut just outside of that branch bark ridge in this case, and that's gonna give us the best chance for a quick seal. What we really want to avoid is a flush cut when we remove a branch. If we cut up here into this swollen branch bark area, this branch wound will take 3 times as long to heal, if at all. So this is Mike signing off with Let's Tree Wilmot. If you are ever in the point where you're uncomfortable and you're starting to get off the ground, please call a professional arborist and let them help you out so nobody gets hurt. Thanks.